Patrick's Day is a time for parades, music, traditions, and of course, a whole lot of green. Here in North Texas, the holiday has brought us some unforgettable moments over the years, from unique celebrations to surprising twists on tradition. So we're taking you on a journey through the archives, reliving some of the best St. Patrick's Day stories we've covered, right up to today. So grab a shamrock, maybe a pint, and let's dive in.
Are you Irish?
Absolutely.
How Irish are you?
Well, how's O'Callaghan?
That's Irish enough. That's Irish enough. Thank you, Miss I understand these gentlemen here are Irish. What's your name?
Pat Denny.
Pat Denny?
Yeah, from County Waterford.
From where?
Waterford.
From Waterford? Where's that?
That's in Southern Ireland.
That's in Ireland.
Yeah.
You're an Irish Day parader?
Well, just come down here for the day, you know.
How you feel about all this Irish parade?
Oh, it's pretty good, I think.
And your name?
Dennis Parsons.
Where are you from, Dennis?
I'm an Englishman. I'm busting in on the parade. I hope you don't mind.
Not a bit. How do you feel about the Irish parades?
Well, I've seen parades over there, and this is going to town. I mean, we just don't have this sort of thing. Well, not in England, anyway. We try and keep the Irish out of England.
What's the difference between an Irish parade here and in London, for instance?
Oh, London. There's more Irishmen in London on Paddy's night than anywhere else in the world, I think.
Well, what sort of Irishmen take part in St. Patrick's Day parades around the world?
Oh, any genuine Irishman who really thinks a lot of his own country.
Before the parade, exiled Irishmen.
They are exiled.
How do you mean?
Well, I think any Irishman who leaves home really likes everybody to know he's Irish. At home, they're all Irish. They don't bother. In Ireland, I mean, they're all Irish.
Let's explain to each other. Hope you enjoy the parade. Thank you a lot.
Well, it's the day in Dallas for the wearing of the green, and the ancestors of the old Sun in Dallas aren't about to let the poor unfortunate souls who weren't born on the Emerald Isles forget the fact. They turned out in Dallas in strong numbers, as a matter of fact, and with a bit of gusto. In case you've forgotten, St. Patrick is said to be the gentleman who, among other things, drove the snakes out of Grand Old Island. And if this noise being wrought by these enthusiastic revelers here on Main Street in Dallas persists, Dallas, too, just may be snakeless in the future. This is Douglas O'Terry reporting.
John Joseph Patrick Thomas Houlihan. He's been celebrating St. Patrick's Feast Day all his life, and as of today, that's 62 years. And Houlihan brings more than a touch of the Irish to his Dallas club, the Viking, and 30 kegs of free draft beer, colored green, of course. Legend has it that the patron saint of Ireland charmed the snakes out of the country, but he didn't charm the blarney out of the Irish.
Of course, we have the leprechauns here, and they're trying to find a rainbow for the pot of gold.
Who gets a pot of gold?
Well, whoever catches the leprechaun with a rainbow.
On St. Patrick's Day, everybody's Irish. It's the same no matter where I've lived, and I've lived several places in this country. And wherever I am, there's always somebody. No matter who they are, they all celebrate St. Patrick's Day.
It's said that St. Patrick found Ireland all heathen and left it all Christian. His feast day every March 17th brings Irish the world over together.
It starts with trays full of meatballs. Throw in a tub full of tasty red sauce. Apply plenty of heat and steam to the prime ingredient. And what you get is a heaping plateful of green spaghetti. In what surely must be some sinister plot hatched by Irish and Italian dissidents, the Spaghetti Warehouse celebrated St. Patrick's Day by giving their customers an option of green spaghetti and green beer. About a third of those at lunch bought the green plate special, and apparently the color didn't make that much difference.
How does it taste? It is delicious, without a doubt. Green spaghetti is the only way to live. The only thing I could recommend is red spaghetti on Valentine's Day or Christmas.
Taste any different?
No.
I mean, you ate that stuff.
Yeah, I ate that stuff.
Well, this all reminds me of a meal that I once fixed for my daughter, which she affectionately called Doug's Purple Dinner. The meat, the rice, everything was purple. And this, well, as colors go, I prefer green. Doug Fox, Channel 8 News. Happy St. Pat's Day.
The leprechauns were out, so you knew the pot of gold had to be near. And it was. A pot of gold for a couple dozen Dallasites who proved that it isn't a long way to Tipperary, that you can bring a little bit of old Ireland even to Texas. All the Irish involved really put on the dog for the parade. And as miraculously as Santa Claus seems to show up for each Christmas parade, St. Pat himself got here in time for his own parade. Dallas cowboy Irishman John Fitzgerald led a procession of green chariots of various price categories, and some participants carried the wearing of the green to extremes. Lest we forget the historical significance of the feast day, we turn to St. Pat himself, otherwise known as non-Irishman Alan Doss, for a reminder of why he is honored this way.
It was entrusted in me to take my staff and beat all the snakes out of Ireland so that people can live there. And it is to my hard work back then that the Irish owe me this day every year. And we all enjoy it when it comes, I might tell you.
How does that apply to Dallas today?
Have you seen a snake today? I rest my case there.
And then it was off to the pubs, where the taps were turned and the green beer flowed, and flowed, and flowed. Even the old saint himself could not resist. By tomorrow morning, a lot of these people will once again turn back into Swedes and Germans and Italians. But they'll be waiting for next year when they can be Irish again. Gary O. Schweitzer, Channel 8 News.
St. Patrick's Day is one of them funny days that come over here, and you'd never know about the bloody thing.
Well, that much is true. Organizers could not have known the annual St. Patrick's Day parade would face almost 40-mile-an-hour gusts of wind, but that had little apparent effect on several dozen Think Green participants who turned out for one of the first rites of spring. And while waiting for the parade to get underway, there was time for an Irish jig or two in the street. Among the dancers was a less than willing poodle, but no wonder he didn't take to the music. He's French. Finally, St. Pat himself made the scene and things got underway. Even Superman, wearing nary a sliver of green, made a brief appearance. 5-year-old Sean Briscoe led the way on a white steed that was either not real or frozen, and what St. Patrick's Day parade would be complete without a leprechaun or two plying the tricks of their trade. The parade made its way toward a pub a couple of miles away, no doubt for tradition, but to cut the chill as well. The sack may have been brown, but inside it was genuine Irish whiskey, or so the legend goes. Michael Brown, Channel 8 News.
It may not compare in size to those in New York or Chicago, but everyone did what's expected of them. Dress up silly and try to be more Irish than the next guy, or the next dog, depending on your point of view. Some participants seem to be in an advanced state of incoherence.
Does that thing work? Are you sure?
Yeah.
That bloody old thing ain't so to come to crop me. Take no curve. God bless you.
The toughest part was telling the true Irish from the fakers. These folks claim to be the real thing.
Yes, 100%. We're just over here for a couple of months vacation, that's all.
But there were some who may have been Irish only in their own minds.
Well, can you tell? Let me ask you. Can you tell a little brogue from an Irish lass?
I'll have to take your word for it.
I hope so.
Of course, a St. Patrick's Day parade wouldn't be complete without a politician or two taking advantage of the exposure.
Well, I come from South Boston, and the Kennedys parade in front of my house every St. Patrick's Day.
And there was even a politician who seemed to be getting his lines from cue cards.
Thank you. I had to go back 12 years for that sport coat. You can tell by the lapels.
By an uncanny coincidence, the parade marched relentlessly toward the NFL Lounge, an Irish pub owned by one of the parade's principal organizers, who fended off suggestions that St. Paddy's Day has become too commercial.
No, it's not. Look at it. This is not commercial. It may be when we get to the pub.
Irish eyes were definitely smiling when the parade ended at the pub, especially the owner's eyes. He's charging $5 a head for an admission fee. John Hollenhorst, Channel 8 News, Dallas.
100 miles aboard, but laces in geranium huts I never saw before.
Just hanging the signs or painting the place or even having an Irish bartender doesn't make for an Irish bar. At the Cedar Pub, one bartender is Mexican, the owner is English, and there'll be no green beer.
I can't stand in it myself, so we're not going to do it. People are missing the whole point of St. Patrick's Day, I believe. You know, you don't have to be green to be to be Irish. I hope you understand what I'm saying. But we don't need that green beer.
And among the minstrels on the bar stools, there are no Irish tenors.
Telling me you were threatening me with this Irish song. Go ahead.
It's not a bloody Irish song. Hey, no, it's not. Hey, no, that song.
The 4 and 20 Virgins, I think it was.
4 and 20 Virgins. That's not an Irish song.
It's not a television song either. And Harry Mack, who looks like a British commando, sings like one too. An English folk song yet. Still, if the Cedar Pub is not an Irish bar, it is something more real. A bar where real Irishmen gather.
My name is Mike Scanlon.
Mike, how long have you been in the United States?
I've been here about a year and a half.
Where from in Ireland?
I'm from Limerick, west of Ireland.
Stephen O'Brien. And how long have you been in the United States, Stephen?
A month.
About a month?
Yeah.
From where in Ireland?
Dublin.
Tom
Hogan.
Hogan?
Yeah.
Tom, how long have you been here?
Oh, about a year and a half.
And from where in Ireland?
From Dublin.
From Dublin?
Yeah.
Okay. And Sean, am I not supposed to ask you anything? You want to sit? You want to sit with your back to the camera?
Yeah, it suits me.
All right, that's good. From where in Ireland?
From Antrim.
What it takes to make the place Irish is a dart game, a woman or two for leavening, a bar to lean against, a supply of the mead, and a couple of harps to drink it.
Let me ask you, are you going to do things like drink green beer?
I don't think so, no. I'm just going to stay at home all day and relax, watch TV, you know, the usual thing.
And what do you drink green beer?
No, I'm going to wash my hair on Thursday. Yeah, I'm going to stay in. Yeah.
Tom, you're going to be here on Thursday, I presume?
Drink green beer.
No, tell me you wouldn't do that.
Yellow beer, purple beer, any kind of beer, yeah.
But the proof of the pudding in an Irish bar is that even on an ordinary night, when the hour is late and the world best seen through a full glass, the music turns melancholy. In the Irish bars, the last songs are always about lost lands and fallen sons and hopeless causes.
I had 4 green fields, each one was a jewel, but strangers came and tried to take them from me. But my fine, strong sons, they fought to save my jewels. They fought and they died, and that was my grief, said she.
For the Irish, there need to be salt tears in the tall glass. Matt Quinn, Channel 8 News.
And when Irish eyes are smiling, they just steal your heart away.
Dublin, Texas seemed like the appropriate place to start a St. Patrick's Day bicycle race, and close to 150 cyclists were ready to roll in today's Cowtown Classic.
If you lose contact with the group, you will be pulled off immediately and put in the bus.
Of course, no one planned on falling behind, but then no one planned on temperatures in the 40s this morning with strong winds out of the north. Miss Dublin, Janice Sharp, nearly froze, and all the spectators had to do was stand there. The cyclists had to ride 85 miles from Dublin to Fort Worth.
Under the best of circumstances, it's difficult, to say the least, but under the conditions that they were under today with a stiff headwind for most of the ride, it was extremely difficult.
Ironically, these athletes are training in Texas because the March weather here is usually mild. They're spending the month competing against each other and getting ready to compete against athletes from other countries next year.
Other sports right now are in spring training. Baseball, the football team's going to spring training, and sport of cycling has spring training as well, and we have to get our athletes in condition for the Olympics in '84.
But today's weather took its toll. One by one, the cyclists fell behind, and only a couple of dozen bikers crossed the finish line this afternoon at the Fort Worth Stockyards. Jeff Bradley of Davenport, Iowa was the winner, but today winning took a backseat to surviving. Dave Cassidy, Channel 8 News, Fort Worth.
Racing 85 miles in cold, blustery winds sounds like a brutal way to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. But for those cyclists out there, it was all part of the challenge. For those looking for a more leisurely way to mark the holiday, a parade is a much better option. And in North Texas, why settle for just one? Let's head from the race course to the streets of Dallas, where not one, but two parades brought out all the green, the fun, and even a few surprises.
Lots of eyes were smiling today in Dallas. Two parades gave the Irish and even those who wanted to be a little bit Irish a chance to celebrate. At the St. Patty's Parade in downtown Dallas, you could see everything from real Irish wolfhounds to dogs who may be carrying the Irish spirit for quite a while. At least in color, anything goes on St. Patrick's Day, even an Irish wake. But the coffin was only filled with balloons. There were more balloons at another St. Patrick's Day parade. On Lower Greenville, the Merchants Association and area residents got together for their own celebration. And these folks really know how to put on the green.
It's great. Is it going to come off?
What do you think?
Well, I think I'm prepared for next year. What do you think? I love it.
While some used the parade to display a political message, most were there just for fun.
You think you have enough green on today? No! Not enough. I'm Irish, honey. I want lots more.
I have drunk all the green beer I can drink, and it is not dyeing my braces.
And of course, a St. Patrick's Day celebration wouldn't be complete without some blarney.
Are you really Irish?
See these Irish eyes? They're smiling.
They're smiling.
Alice Killian, Channel 8 News.
Thousands of people wore green garb, drank green beer, and celebrated St. Patrick's Day Saturday on Dallas's Greenville Avenue. Last year, people complained it got out of hand. So this year, the city took pains to see that things stayed cool, and they did. Until Sunday. Then, several hundred people showed up on Lower Greenville to drink beer and carouse. The deal was the street party was to end by Saturday evening, but with outdoor rock music blasting at a bar called The Saloon, a noisy crowd gathered. They blocked the street and partied until midnight. Some people who live nearby say the music was deafening.
Well, can you lay in your bed and have a band beating in your bed shaking and go to sleep? That's how it was.
The St. Patrick's Day Bash was a huge success without any real problems. But then Sunday turned out to be an absolutely beautiful spring day, and it seems the Greenville Avenue fun seekers weren't quite ready to stop partying.
I figure it comes once a year, and like New Orleans, they have one festivity a year, so why can't we?
East Dallas City Councilman Craig Holcomb is angry. He says all the Greenville merchants but one, the Saloon, cooperated.
It frustrates me terribly.
Are you going to have some words with the owner of the Saloon?
In a couple of days after I cool off.
Holcomb wants a new city ordinance to head off more such instant street parties and beer busts. But Jim Baum, the owner of the Saloon, says it's a bad rap. He says he didn't extend the St. Patty's party, that the mob simply showed up with their own six-packs.
But I didn't make a penny off all these people who were out here drinking. They were, this was all bring your own stuff, and I don't want them down here.
And so, now that St. Patty's Day is history, Greenville Avenue is preparing for the next big outdoor affair, Mayfest. Bill Brown, Channel 8 News on Greenville Avenue.
You don't really think of the Irish when you think of Dallas, certainly not like the Irish of Boston, New York, or Chicago. But this St. Patrick's Day could be a turning point for thoughts like that. Dallas's third annual downtown St. Patrick's Day Parade was a huge success, by far the biggest ever. Having it on a weekday, being able to lure downtown office workers, certainly helped. Organizers say it also helped to have a good parade. There were actually bagpipers in this one, even though they had to be flown in for the event. And for the most part, it was a pretty festive and colorful group, with few exceptions. The event also didn't end with the parade.
What a day for the Irish!
At the farmers market, the partying continued, helped along by Spanky McFarlane, one of the original cast members of the Little Rascals TV series and the parade's Grand Marshal. The event was also helped along by the participants themselves.
I get all this stuff together and look forward to it. I took the day off from work. This is a holiday for me.
These people say they've been celebrating St. Patrick's Day like this for years, and they like the fact that more and more people are joining in. Maybe Dallasites are finally realizing that being Irish isn't the only reason to participate.
I like a party.
Jack Kendrick, Channel 8 News.
There once was a mom and dad who one child they already had, when lo and behold, on this day of green and gold, sprang this new babe just hours old. Maria and David Corbett have the luck of the Irish, and we're sure of it. Timothy Patrick is the lucky lad, seen here cuddling with his lucky dad. The shamrock marks his birth. Now Fort Worth is filled with mirth. Speaking of mirth, there was plenty of it at the Worthington Hotel in Fort Worth. Die-hard Irish men, women, and children never let rainy, cold weather get in the way of paying homage to St. Patrick. But the serious partying was inside the hotel. The entertainment menu was folksy and varied. But the main attraction was still to come. St. Joseph Hospital singing for the Green Contest. Six of the best tenors around tackled the high notes with ease, capping off a night when everyone felt Irish, even for just one night. Michelle Redmond, Channel 8 News, Fort Worth.
This is just a wild guess, but it's doubtful that St. Patrick ever considered a lawn chair drill team act as a symbol of the magnificent Irish spirit. But this morning's Greenville Avenue Parade was just another reminder of America's remarkable ability to take any cultural tradition and turn it into something absolutely absurd, such as a portable ski slope.
Exactly what does Ireland have to do with skiing?
Well, you can just ski anywhere Ireland instead of places Dallas.
Once upon a time, St. Patrick's Day was a way for the Irish Americans to celebrate their fierce sense of pride. Do you remember, for example, how the politicians used to strut proudly down the middle of the street?
Well, here's one of our local politicians, that wily photo opportunist, State District Judge Ron Chapman.
Are you Irish at all? Do you have 1 inch of blood?
Oh, I definitely have Irish blood in me, very definitely. From the old country.
Although a more traditional St. Patrick's Day parade was held downtown this afternoon, the crowd was far more subdued. What, after all, are people in Dallas supposed to know about jigs and Irish stew and shamrocks?
Got any beers? I'm hungry.
Doesn't it make more sense that Dallas would appreciate such things as the world's fattest beer man, or dancing clovers, or the obligatory girls in bikinis, or some sort of Mexican outlaw gang whose mules are painted green? When adults get a hold of a holiday, children can only look on, utterly perplexed. But one day, they too will realize that when you live in a city without much tradition, sometimes the only thing one can do is act very, very silly.
I think it means that Dallas is finally on a par with Boston and New York, and we finally figured out that St. Patrick's Day has nothing to do with anything except just acting like an idiot and drinking a lot of beer.
Tweeby and I are coming, darling! Hang on!
Skip Hollinsworth, Channel 8 News.
Dublin is the fastest growing town in the nation, don't you? Yeah, every morning when you get up, it's still Dublin.
Dublin's one of those friendly places where people will stop what they're doing, even if what they're doing is crossing the street, and give you some directions. But then it's not hard to find your way around this small town southwest of Fort Worth with a population of about 3,000, most of whom are not Irish.
Are you Irish?
No, I'm a little Irish, mostly Indian.
I wouldn't know if I know an Irish name when I saw one. McSwain, McWhirter, McWilliams, would those count for Irish names?
There were some early Irish settlers. Maybe they named the place after their hometown. No one knows. Some people think it's named after a stagecoach stop here called the Double Inn. That's Double Inn.
And then you know how it's Texan stock, you know, Double Inn, Dublin.
So here I am in Dublin, Texas, flashing my very best green press passes, hoping to find some St. Patrick's Day activity. Come to find out,
You should have been here Saturday.
You missed it. I'm sorry, it was fun.
best I could do was a mental replay of the Dublin St. Patrick's Day parade last weekend with the help of those who witnessed it.
Well, we start from that end, went that way.
From this direction, past the Dr. Pepper plant.
Had a bunch of floats, and
then the girls who were in the Miss Dublin pageant are each on a car with their evening gowns still on, and it's just a real pretty parade.
They're still selling green ice cream at the DQ. It's hot stuff. But don't look for any green beer. Not that kind of Irish spirit.
I didn't tell you, we're in a dry county. It's a little bit different, but we drink milk instead.
John Prock, Channel 8 News, Dublin, Texas.
In Dallas, the St. Patrick's Day celebration began early at sunrise along Knox Henderson. At the Yewa Creek Brewery, homemade beer with a touch of green dye began flowing before 7 in the morning. Patty O'Connor, visiting from Dublin, is glad to be in Texas.
Happy St. Pat's!
Instead of back home this day.
Woven in Shannon Island.
It's a big commercial parade, and I have to say, honestly, I don't miss it one bit because it's hard work. It's a 3-mile march. Usually, it rains.
It didn't rain here. It looked like an almost stereotypical March 17th in America. Green hats and good humor. But this salute to the land of poets and stout beer is a bit different.
The Lord be with you.
For about 40 minutes, starting at 8 o'clock, the party grew quiet and moved into another room for Catholic Mass.
Well, in Ireland, what they do is they go have a couple beers on St. Patrick's Day, then they go to Mass, then they go eat breakfast, and then they drink all day long. So we thought, what better way to incorporate it all in one place, and so nobody'd have to leave.
They even held Holy Communion, a somber event during a day of revelry. The priest, half German and half Irish, gave thanks for his heritage.
Our ancestors made a great sacrifice for us, you know, and so I think what happens on this day, for St. Patrick's Day in the United States, it's a way of thanking, it's a way of thinking about where we have come from.
Between Sinn Féin and British ministers.
A few here also gave thanks for what could become a lasting peace in Northern Ireland. More reason to celebrate and to toast the Emerald Isle. Dave Evans, Channel 8 News.
The Lord's peace be with you. Let us share with one another a sign of that peace.
In Dallas, there were prayers for peace and the people of Northern Ireland at an unusual Catholic Mass held in a brewery run by an Irish American.
It's not the building that makes a church, it's the people. So you can have Mass anywhere you want to have Mass.
On their minds and in their prayers, the recent Irish Republican Army bombings in London that shattered a 17-month ceasefire. The IRA, which opposes British rule over Northern Ireland, resumed the campaign of terror because it believed peace negotiations had stalled. Breda Clifford knows Ireland's problems. She grew up there and came to Dallas from Ireland to celebrate St. Patrick's Day with friends. Clifford says there's new hope for peace burning among her people, fed up with more than 25 years of the political violence some call the Troubles.
In all our hearts, every individual in Ireland will not leave peace go away. So everybody is now saying we will take peace and nothing else. And that is what is going to happen.
There's some hope for peace again. There's been some initiative over there that may result in renewed ceasefire, which is very hopeful.
After the Mass and prayers for peace, folks here settled down to a traditional St. Patrick's Day party, and that includes plenty of green beer.
Do y'all need a beer down there?
Hope and good times spring eternal on St. Patrick's Day. That 5th century missionary is honored by the people of Northern and Southern Ireland alike, as well as millions of Americans who are Irish every day or only on March 17th. Doug Wilson, Channel 8 News.
Joey Smith rehearses the dances he's performing this week before a panel of Irish judges.
Okay, back down the line, try him.
The Dallas teen from Woodrow Wilson High School discovered Irish folk dancing at 13. Now at 17, he's competing in the World Championship in Ireland.
The rhythm, the beats, just like the idea that you can get so many rhythms with your feet in like just a few seconds, and it's pretty neat.
And you're going from a
His instructor, Owen O'Mallady, an Irish native who lives and teaches in Fort Worth, is a world champion Irish dancer himself, and he's thrilled about the potential of his most gifted student.
To make it to world level, and I mean dance like a world championship dancer, is a feat in itself. It's incredible.
It resembles American tap, but it's uniquely Irish, going back hundreds of years. Interest in Irish dancing is growing in Texas and across America, with many young people wanting to learn it. Many credit Riverdance for its popularity, the Irish dance troupe that performs sold-out shows in Dublin and London. Its star, Michael Flatley, is American. Smith is uncertain where his dancing feet will land. For now, this interest competes with varsity baseball and straight A's.
I'm just having as much fun with it as I can right now. I'm not really worried about the future.
But with a bit of Irish luck, this Texan will stand out in the land of leprechauns. Karen Kelly, Channel 8 News.
The annual downtown Dallas St. Patrick's Day Parade has grown to be the 4th largest in the country, and that's no blarney. But putting it together takes more than the luck of the Irish. No offices, no paid staff, just hard work by hundreds of volunteers. That includes members of the Dare to Dream Foundation building their first ever float.
This is the one that says helping kids to a brighter future.
We're going to be here year after year after year to help the kids in Dallas, and I think that the parade's a great way to celebrate that with Dallas.
One of the challenges this year will be fitting the floats under the Dart rail line as the parade crosses Pacific Avenue. So measurements are taken to make sure the top of the morning creations don't top 15.5 feet.
Does Dallas have a big Irish population?
Actually, they do. Texas has a 16% Irish population, according to demographic studies, and the concentration is in North Texas. So we estimate that in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, there's an excess of 400,000 people of Irish-American backgrounds.
A guy named Pat Kelly ought to know. Soccer may be #1 in Ireland, but these girls from a local soccer club are heads up on the sport too and will be riding in the parade. Also out for a spin and a ride on a forklift, a car with a legendary background.
You know, most people don't realize that when St. Patrick's drove the snakes out of Ireland, he used a '63 spandex green Cadillac to do it in.
Now that's a bit of blarney, but well-meaning. This year's parade commemorates the 150th year of the Great Potato Famine. And Dallas, this Spud's for you. Jamie Tobias, Channel 8 News.
As you can see, putting together a St. Patrick's Day parade, especially one of the biggest in the country, is no small task. Volunteers spend weeks making sure every float is just right, every measurement is precise, and every detail honors the spirit of the holiday. As we shift from the 90s to the 2000s, the Lower Greenville Parade took on a new dynamic. The crowds got bigger, the celebrations got louder, and of course the police had to step in to make sure the party stayed under control. Let's take a look at how the city balances fun with safety during one of the biggest St. Patrick's Day parties in town.
Happy St. Patty's Day! Happy St. Patty's Day!
St. Patty's Day partiers started seeing green long before some of the most spirited paraded their way down Lower Greenville. Not wanting to miss out on a single second, a crowd from Iowa State got here early.
The plan of the day is to drink a lot.
Drink a lot of beer.
And to stay out of jail.
Never far from sight, Dallas police determined to keep visitors in line. They're especially vigilant in this neighborhood where many visitors park illegally. Those cars quickly ticketed and towed.
Unfortunately, the people that have the cars towed or get a little upset, but they have to understand we have to make sure that the fire department, the first responders can get into this neighborhood quickly in case we have any kind of incident.
So far, as luck of the Irish would have it, all's well here. But the night is young, and the chance for visitors to savor Lower Greenville's finest offerings fleeing fast.
I got kicked out of a bar last night, so I thought we might get kicked out of a bar today or so.
That's what worries the neighbors. In years past, they've had to handle the overflow, and it's never pretty. This year, with law enforcement stiffer than ever, they're holding their breath.
If you've lived here for 2 or 3 years, you know what you've gotten into. Most of the patrons are respectful, and all we care for at the end of the day is just respect our property, and we're happy to have you.
Happy St. Patrick's Day!
She and her friends have started a beer can collection.
By the end of the night, it's going to be a huge pyramid.
Other revelers at Jay Gilligan's in Arlington are lined up for plenty of green beer and a good time. But hopefully not too good, says representatives from Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
We definitely don't want to be party poopers, but we want to help them to just be smart. Please focus on not driving after you've had even just one drink. Don't drive.
In 2004, 45 people were reportedly killed nationwide in DWI accidents on St. Patrick's Day. That's why Fort Worth police will have 2 special units out.
Occasionally, some have a tendency to overdo, and with it being St. Patrick's Day, there is a distinct possibility we may have some problems.
He and others watching hope groups will appoint designated drivers like Chris Templeton.
You got to have a designated driver. You got to have good friends that you can trust on to know that they're not going to let you drink.
Tamisha Vaughn's crew picked her to make sure they would make it home safely. Well, that's until I asked her what she was drinking.
A margarita. But it's the first one and the only one. So.
It's fun to joke, but in all seriousness, many hope the laughter won't turn to tears.
Drink responsibly and be safe and enjoy yourself.
They're yelling and screaming. I mean, they're drunk. They have stopped 2 or 3 times to make a pit stop here for a bathroom.
For and fine.
But this is 24/7 on the weekends.
She says this weekend, though, is all of that, times 2. For she and some of her neighbors, the St. Patrick's Day celebration on Greenville, one of her favorites, has become a huge bother. And it's not just the noise and the drunks. Parking and traffic have also been a nuisance and dangerous for people living near Greenville, like Cassie Green.
So you'd have people trying to go east, people trying to come west, and they'd all have been drinking or they were drunk, and they'd get out and start fighting.
The city, however, has made changes over the past few years to decrease the negative impact on these neighbors, including putting these no parking signs out earlier to limit trouble there and keep partygoers off most residential streets. Bar managers have also taken steps to make sure people have fun without going overboard.
Bartenders are on alert. If they see somebody that looks like they've been overserved, not to serve them. That causes as many problems for us as it does for that person.
And Fine just hopes she doesn't have any problems. After all, St. Patrick's Day is one of her favorites.
Happy St. Patrick's Day! Supporting Texas! Well, the residents of Dallas have turned out in force for the Greenville Avenue St. Patrick's Day Parade. Well, what do all these Denzians of the Green really know about St. Patrick? Let's find out. Well, obviously you've painted your head, sir. You must be a huge fan of St. Patrick. What do you know about St. Patrick himself? Nothing at all.
No idea.
I don't know anything about him.
Well, what do you know about the man himself, St. Patrick? That's made.
No idea who he is. Man, you got me on that question. I don't. I'm a Catholic, but I don't know who St. Patrick is. I'm sorry.
St. Patrick's driving the snakes out of Ireland.
Do the ladies like the kilt?
Ladies.
So do you know who St. Patrick was?
Oh, yummy.
Who St. Patrick actually was? Not really. I think he was Catholic.
An evangelist?
Are you a fan of St. Patrick? I think he's a fan. He's a big fan. Question, can you tell us who St. Patrick actually was?
He was a saint that helped drive the snakes out of Ireland.
Happy St. Patrick's Day! He was Irish.
Anything else?
He was awesome.
He ran snakes out of Ireland, I think. And
Or children.
No, not children. Snakes. Snakes are bad. Children are not bad.
Good morning, Texas.
Well, nobody seems to actually know who St. Patrick is, but nobody here really seems to mind.
Happy St. Patrick's Day!
St. Patrick's Day on Greenville Avenue in Dallas, a neighborhood tradition that new homeowner Joanne Smith found out about this week.
They told me that about 100 to maybe 150,000 people could descend on this area. I was like, oh Lord, no way. Where are they going to park?
Not on her street. The city posted these new signs on Llano 2 weeks ago. Resident parking only between 6 p.m. and 2 a.m. Thursday through Sunday. But for St. Patty's, dozens of extra signs pop up along every RPO in the Greenville area. There are more than 20 zones. The message, no permit, no parking, period.
These are brackets.
As Jason Gwines and his friends build their float for the parade, they're keeping an eye on open spots. The north side of their street turns into a temporary no parking zone. Nearly 1,000 signs, just like this one, dot the area for the one-day celebration.
Normally what we do is we'll park across the street the night before, and then once people get down here, we'll sort of shuffle cars and move them in the driveway or move them out, and that way we sort of, reserve those spots that are a premium for our friends.
And this year, finding a place to park will be even more difficult. There are fewer spots. On every street from the 5900 to 6000 block north of McComas, drivers will see tow-away zones all the way to Mockingbird and Skillman. A new restriction added to the long list of areas that are off-limits.
There's no shortage of fun here on Dallas streets on the appropriately named Greenville Avenue. Organizers expected close to 100,000 people to don green at this parade. And it isn't St. Patrick's without bagpipes, and of course followed by the thousands of beads being flung into the air. And that's not it. How about tortillas? Talk about food on the go. But if things get out of hand, there's Cloverman.
I'm here to enjoy the festivities and make sure that everything goes smoothly.
What does that mean, smoothly?
Smoothly, make sure no riffraffs out there. If they are, I'll deliver them a fist of clover justice.
I guess you can say we saw justice at work in the residential parts near Greenville Avenue. This Dodge Ram is sitting in a crosswalk and near a fire hydrant. Double whammy. This is Kyle Martin's fourth vehicle in an hour.
People still like to test the limits. Rules are, I guess, not always meant to be broken, but people are always going to test the limits.
The city blocked off parking on one side. The warnings are there, just in case fire trucks need to get through. Back at the parade, we saw all kinds of partiers, some on 4 legs, some barely on 2. Rachel Rundis is thankful she only needed her 2 legs to get to the parade.
My friend was going to stay over, and I told her to drive over last night because, traffic is a mess. No one can drive through this. Look at this. It's insane.
It all starts with the parade along Greenville Avenue. Along with the expected bagpipes and kilts, you'll find a little bit of everything and everyone done up in shades of green ranging from deep emerald to bold lime.
It's been a great day. Had lots of fun with friends. Great parade. Love Dallas.
In neighborhoods along and near the parade route, no parking signs dotted the landscape, but did little to deter people wanting to get closer to the party. Taxis line the streets for people wanting to get in and out without a walk and without a tow.
We parked probably about 5 blocks down, and then we walking into the joint, and the first time we actually caught a cab,
which was smarter, which I would recommend, you know what I mean, because it's really tough to find parking.
Despite the massive crowds, many of whom were drinking, police said there were no major incidents.
We aim to control the crowd through our presence and have an expectation of the vendors and the bar owners and such, recognizing concerns on over-serving and things of that nature.
Nearly perfect weather encouraged the crowds, and organizers expected as many as 100,000 people.
As darkness came to Greenville Avenue, so too did heavier rains and bursts of wind, thunder, and lightning, the surest sign yet that this year's St. Pat's celebration wasn't exactly what everyone expected.
This is not as busy. Not as busy. I've lived down here for 12 years.
Organizers say it's too early to know for sure just how many showed up for the 2-mile-long morning parade, followed by the beer and booze-fueled festival afterwards along Lower Greenville. Attendance usually hovers around 125,000 for the entire day.
This is my first time coming down here. I'm from New Orleans, so it's different.
Made even more so if you forgot the hardtop for that Mercedes SL.
Don't touch it. Get your fingers off of it, please.
Security was top of mind, given what happened earlier this week at South by Southwest in Austin, where 2 partygoers were plowed over and killed by a drunk driver. Dallas police said it didn't change its approach because of that, but close to 200 officers watched closely all day long.
We're going to the block party.
Especially as the masses moved from one party to the next, fighting the crowds and Mother Nature every step of the way.
What would a St. Patty's Day parade be without beads flying, music blaring, and people decked out in green?
If you're Asian, if you're Latino, if you're black, if you're white, today everyone's green.
Tom Stevenson is the creator of the Dallas St. Patrick's Day Parade. He says 40 years later, it's become bigger and better.
First parade, there were more people in the parade than were watching. So now you got 125,000 people watching and less people in the parade.
He's right. More than 125,000 people line the streets to watch about 90 floats make their way down this 2-mile route. And as always, the Scottish bagpipers lead the way.
It's a tradition that's been handed down from our Irish brothers and sisters. They brought the bagpipes to the firefighters' funerals and police officers' funerals, and it's been a tradition since then.
Chris Moggio is a Plano firefighter. It's his 21-year anniversary with the department, and it's feeling more like a celebration.
It's all about getting together, the brotherhood, and being a part of something.
This is the one day in Dallas where they ask you to go ahead and be a little silly and have a great time and be a little carefree, be a little madcap, okay? Be a little cockamamie, be whatever it is. But today's the day that you're encouraged to do it. Come to Greenville, buddy.
So let's face it, everyone is here for a good old time. So may the luck of the Irish be with you. In Dallas, I'm Cleo Green.
As you've seen through these stories, St. Patrick's Day in Dallas has clearly come a long way from when it first began. From bagpipes to beads, it's a day to celebrate history, community, and have a little bit of carefree fun. But in recent years, celebrations faced an unexpected challenge. The COVID-19 pandemic forced businesses and parade organizers to rethink their plans. So how did the holiday adjust in a time of social distancing and restrictions? Let's take a look at how the celebration was forced to change.
If you want to see the impact of the virus, the signs are on windows, on front doors of businesses normally flourishing. You will also see it in empty chairs.
It was wall-to-wall people. Yeah, upstairs, downstairs, the patio, people are waiting to get in.
And now?
Yeah, you can see.
The Celt is the spot in downtown McKinney on St. Patrick's Day.
I know I've talked to a lot of my peers.
Both of Stan's parents were Irish. Today, he'll lose 80% of his business.
We're just all praying that it's temporary.
The city of McKinney has followed Dallas's and now Fort Worth's lead, limiting shops to takeout only starting Friday. And for now, following social distance guidelines and allowing only half the capacity.
The data is there.
It is McKinney Mayor George Fuller who had to make that tough decision.
The cost to underreact, I've just decided for our city is much too great. It's much greater than the cost of overreacting.
McKinney, so far, is the only city in Collin County to do it. Your reaction to other cities not doing this?
Then what's the point?
Most all cities have made the emergency declarations this week.
But if we're going to do something about the virus, we have to be all doing this together.
It's trying times around the world.
The mayor's order affects him too, a business owner himself. He believes the other cities will come around.
I'm not trying to set a record being the first city, but we are going to do what we think is the prudent thing to do.
The way to reduce community spread requires the community. McKinney may be the county seat. Question is anyone else at the table? In McKinney, I'm Joe Panic.
Shamrock's drink deals.
Stressed out.
Fingernails.
Come to the roof.
There's a lot of green on Greenville Avenue in Dallas.
So, I think they'll definitely be big.
Ahead of St. Patty's Day weekend.
Oh, it'll be pretty lively out here, I'm hoping.
It's a party that usually looks like this, kicked off by a parade. However, that parade isn't happening once again due to COVID-19.
Sorry, people are looking.
But with no statewide mask mandate and businesses able to go to 100% capacity, things could get interesting in a pandemic down this road. Big crowds, traffic, and Councilmember David Blewett.
We're on track to seeing a way out of this. It would be unfortunate if we had events that pushed us back.
Is trying to mitigate a possible super spreader event.
There's a history of a lot of people coming down here from all over the city.
Blewett represents this area. He says Dallas Police Code Enforcement and Dallas Fire Rescue will be here watching this weekend. The goal is to keep eyes on businesses to make sure they don't go beyond occupancy. Also to keep people out of the street and drinking outside the bars. But DPD could be shorthanded this time around. In years prior, when there was a parade and a permit, businesses in this area would pay DPD for extra cops, about 100 or so to patrol the area. That's not happening this year.
Like you said, I brought it up to our new chief, but he very quickly understood what this was and what it could be.
Yet Blewett says new chief Eddie Garcia has been brought up to speed.
You got it. I think it'll definitely be a good time.
Big questions now.
In Dallas, you know, there has been a lot of people at bars anyway. Yeah. Lately.
Just how big will this party get? And will the city be ready? In Dallas, I'm Matt Howerton.
A party during a pandemic. St. Patrick's Day celebrations on Greenville Avenue. The first Saturday since Texas lifted its statewide mask mandate and allowed businesses to reopen at 100% capacity. For revelers, it's the biggest crowd since, well,
about this time last year.
Shada Natsifpour came equipped with a St. Patrick's Day themed mask.
How cute is this?
But examples of masks and social distancing were few and far between. Seemingly little attention paid to the pandemic at all.
Everyone just seems like they're having a really good time.
Now, despite the party atmosphere, not everyone is in the mood to celebrate. Images of the crowds sparking social media backlash with comments like, "This is exactly why they should not be reopening now. Watch for the numbers in 2 weeks." And next COVID spike, here we go. But here at the Blue Note,
best day we've had in a year.
Owner Mike McCrae says the crowd is a godsend.
We were closed for 4 months straight, so being out didn't just hurt me, it hurt all my staff.
McCrae says the workers are doing their best to keep things clean.
Now we have hand sanitizer at the door, and we're wiping down everything constantly.
But social distancing is next to impossible with capacity at 299.
We're doing our best for social distancing, but when you fill up and these guys have been, cramped up for the last year, it's hard for you to say, no, you have to stay 6 feet back. But we're doing our best.
That's why some aren't ready to cut loose completely just yet.
Even when I walk in, I'm still going to wear my mask.
In Dallas,
I think as long as you're still safe.
I'm Eric Alvarez.
Tommy Donahue doesn't love living in the past, but if he could.
If you could go back in time, to this picture, what would you tell yourself?
He'd have some things to say to his former self.
Wow,
Don't sweat the little things. We thought this was just a blip and it'd be a couple weeks and we'd get back on our feet and try and recoup what we lost that weekend, but it was a lot worse than that.
Exactly 2 years ago, Tommy and I sat down to chat about his bar, Milo Butterfingers. Dallas's St. Patty's Day Parade had just been canceled due to a virus called COVID-19, the first of so many things to be canceled in the pandemic. Within hours of us talking, air travel from Europe was suspended, the NBA season 2.
It was heartbreaking to have the rug pulled out from under us. 2 days later, they shut everything down completely, and they shut us down for 5 months.
Officially, it's been 3 years since Dallas had the parade, but on Saturday,
I think it's going to be crazy tomorrow.
that changes. With COVID numbers down, the parade will make a comeback.
It's like you really turned a corner with this.
And just like it always has, the parade will end at Butterfingers.
I think, this is really kind of the coming out party.
A finish line, if you will, that has another meaning for Donahue.
St. Patrick's Day! Woo!
That maybe, hopefully, things stay this way.
I think I will sit down tomorrow night with a big smile on my face, knowing that we pulled it off and we're back.
In Dallas, I'm Matt Howerton.
Dirt Nowitzki served as Grand Marshal for the 41st St. Patrick's Day Parade in downtown Dallas. Thousands of people lined the streets for the much-missed event to help celebrate Irish heritage. You could see all kinds of green along Greenville Avenue. Some participants, like Jason Goings and his neighbors, used the parade for more than just fun.
We also use this as an opportunity to fundraise for a nonprofit called Adam's Animals that give new stuffed animals to children in local hospitals that are in the cancer ward.
The Patty's Day Parade is back after 2 years of being put on pause during the pandemic. Tommy Donahue manages the downtown Dallas bar along the parade route.
Parade started on time, so it's gotten to this point at a good point for us. The crowd's a little thinner than I would have thought. I thought after 2 years it'd be a lot more than this.
Still, after a 2-year shutdown, parade watchers enjoyed the sights and sounds, and many have been waiting for a reason just to have fun.
So this is a Smoking Hot Leprechauns. You want to look out for us. Cigar company. We're here to have some fun and make some memories today. So look out for us. Scream, we'll throw you some beads.
Organizers estimate about 75,000 people attended the parade in downtown Dallas. I'm Scoop Jefferson.
As much as possible.
Even though there's plenty of green on the UNT campus, some students say they need to be pinched.
Yeah, I had to pinch myself and just one, see if this is real.
Like, this is really a thing that's happening that I get the chance to do.
They're all members of the UNT Green Brigade Marching Band. And what's so hard to believe is that tomorrow they'll be marching in the St. Patrick's Day Parade in Dublin, Ireland.
We're going on like the meanest, greenest of all holidays.
I thought that was convenient. The Green Brigade going to Ireland on St. Patrick's Day. You couldn't get more perfect than that.
Director Daniel Cook says the trip is especially meaningful to many students.
For whom is this their first time out of the country?
Not just because they haven't traveled much.
Wow, that's so cool.
But the band hasn't traveled much. This is the Green Brigade's first international trip since the 1970s.
And let's try to make this happen.
Director Cook says the band has built a pretty good reputation here in the States. But playing in Ireland is a chance to show the rest of the world just how good they are.
I hope it adds to the prestige, the recognition.
He says something like this can only strengthen the band's popularity and performance. But for the students, the greatest part of this trip has nothing to do with music.
We're not going to remember the wrong notes that we played. We're not going to remember the times that we had really bad or good rehearsals, but in the end, we're just going to remember the fun times we had, the trips we took, and the good music that we made along the way.
And even though they'll be wearing green, they say go ahead and pinch, because they're clearly dreaming. In Denton.
Folks, that sounds beautiful.
I'm Sean Giggy.
Really well done.
Still 2 days out, tents, signs, and even bathrooms are lining up along Greenville Avenue. And inside the bars and restaurants along the several-mile strip,
all right, perfect.
Owners like Corey Wasson at Ozona.
And this cooler is
stacked 60% more than it normally would be.
Are prepping too.
We start in preparation in December. It's like 2 Saturdays in one day.
More than 100,000 people come out each year to the St. Patrick's Day Parade, billed as the largest in the Southwest.
I'm at least as Irish as Dirk Nowitzki is, so it should be a good time.
Mayor Eric Johnson is the parade's Grand Marshal this year. In a kickoff press conference today, he said despite the size and the drinking, the parade is family friendly with 200 officers patrolling.
We want everybody to understand that we will be enforcing the law, and we want to make sure that people no fighting and all that kind of stuff, and I think it'll be a great event, like it always is.
Wasson and Ozona are opening at 7 a.m. Saturday, situated at the end of the parade's route that runs from just above Loop 12, then 2 miles down Greenville Avenue, and finishing at SMU Boulevard.
Lower Greenville is definitely more of the party scene, and we're more of a restaurant on any given day, so we have a lot more families that come here.
Both city officials and Wasson recommend taking DART, considering road closures. It'll be year 42 for the parade and nearly the 20th time for Wasson, who loves the business, but maybe not the prep.
We always joke around, is it really worth a double Saturday? I mean, I've been doing it since 2006, and so I'm getting older, so it's getting harder for me because I'm getting tired.
In Dallas, I'm William Joy.
You guys ready for another round? Fantastic.
In between serving customers during the Friday lunch rush, staff at Ozona are making the final preps for the Greenville St. Patrick's Day Parade Saturday.
Pretty much our busiest day of the year, and the parade is something that's super awesome that Ozona's been a part of ever since it started.
On the to-do list for owner Corey Wasson is, of course, making sure they're fully staffed and fully stocked.
Lots of security, lots of staffing, lots of product.
But the biggest thing looming is something they can't control.
Is it gonna rain? It's kind of a 60% chance. It's like, I don't really know.
The wet weather could put a damper on the outdoor celebration, known for giving restaurants and bars along the miles-long route a big boost for business.
So the last couple of years we've had similar weather. It looks like the rain's gonna hold off, but we'll be here rain or shine, right? So we'll be here either way.
Kevin Vela is the chairman of the Greenville Avenue Area Business Association, the group that hosts the parade each year. The Dallas Mavericks are the top sponsors.
We have over 100,000 people lining up and down Greenville. We've got, I think, over 50 floats. Really excited. Our Grand Marshal this year is Mike Madonna of the Dallas Stars, arguably one of the greatest stars of all time.
The festival starts at 9 Saturday morning. The parade kicks off at 11 and will run along Greenville Avenue starting at Blackwell Street and end at SMU Boulevard and Central Expressway. There will be live music, floats, food trucks, and an alcohol-free family zone.
We encourage everyone to come out and have a great time. All proceeds, all profit that we make goes to DISD scholarships.
Dallas police will have plenty of officers patrolling to keep things safe and fun. They're reminding the public not to go through any barricades in the area and suggest taking DART to get to the party. In Dallas, I'm Janelle Fort.
From wild bicycle races to parades that have grown bigger than ever, St. Patrick's Day has been a day of fun, tradition, and unforgettable memories here in North Texas. And while the celebrations have evolved over the years, one thing has stayed the same. There's always a reason to wear green and join in on the fun. Thanks for taking this trip through the past with us. However you're celebrating, we hope you have a great St. Patrick's Day.